Welcome to the Holly Meredith Show. And today you're going to get in for a real treat because this Holly Meredith has had enough. Please allow me to introduce you to the leader of the free world. And I know you know who I'm talking about. Yes, Barack Hussein Obama. Why in the living hell is this, whatever it is, still in charge of America? Where are you people? What is wrong with you? Do you get up every day? Can you read? Are you aware? Do you pay attention? Do you care? Evidently, no to all of the above. Our esteemed leader was in France to commemorate D-Day, when many Americans died trying to save Europe from Adolf Hitler. In my opinion, we should have let Adolf Hitler keep it. But yesterday, our dear leader was chewing gum. Yes, he was chewing gum as he was giving a speech about all of these men's deaths. Over their graves, actually. Can you imagine what was going through his head? Probably I needed 2 sticks of gum instead of 1. That was yesterday. And then Jen Psaki, the representative of his State Department, comes out yesterday and says, well, unfortunately, it's true. We've been arming Al-Qaeda in Syria. Now, we all knew that, at least those of us who pay any attention at all. We've all known that our president has been arming our enemies for the last 5.5 years. But yesterday, she admitted it. Yesterday, she agreed with us. Yes, we've been arming Al-Qaeda with arms, guns, money, military advisors, because we don't like Bashar al-Assad, who is the leader of Syria. And why don't we like Bashar al-Assad? Because up until we elected this bozo, the clown, until we elected him, Bashar al-Assad liked us. So did Muammar Gaddafi from Libya. So did the man in charge of Egypt that we also overthrew. We're doing a really bang-up job, aren't we, of arming all of our enemies and trying to disenfranchise all of our friends. Yay! Yay! You're doing such a great job. And now, we now have the spectacle of our dear leader, who is now busing into Arizona and Texas in buses. Children from South America, Central America, and God knows Mexico, because one thing they do have a lot of in Mexico is a lot of unwanted children, and they're certainly not wanted here, but they have a lot of them there, and they're now busing them to us. I hate to break the news to all of you out there, and I don't give a good goddamn land, but billions of people around this planet have nothing, and they would love to come here and get what you have, and you apparently don't care about that because you're not stopping them. When he buses them in, how did they get on the buses? Wouldn't that be a question you would think somebody in the news would ask? But not our news. Our news is completely controlled, absolutely, positively, 100% by progressive communist liberals who will never tell you anything bad about this abomination. Not ever, not one word, not ever. Because they love him. Because they're invested in him. Because he's black. Well, no, he's not. He's not black. He's half black. And the other half is a white, whatever you want to call his mother. She knew more men before she was 18 than the entire army. Whatever you want to call his mother, she was sort of white, I guess. But he's kind of in between somewhere. But what he is not is a fan of America. What he is not is anybody. He is a Muslim. Watch my lips. Can you read them? Like Bush said, although he said no more taxes, I am saying our leader is a Muslim. All he needs to do now is get down on his goddamn knees every day and pray to Mecca, which he no doubt does, although in private. But I'm sure he's getting ready to do it in public because nobody says anything and nobody stops him. Because your Congress, yes, those people you elect and send to Washington and give all that money and don't have to be under Obamacare because they made it that way, those people, they never opened their mouth. Not any of them. When are you going to realize you have no representation at all? Not one little smidgen. These people are lords and ladies. They're so far above the rest of us that they can't see you for the smog. They do not care what happens to you. They go to their round of parties, they buy their diamonds, their children go to exclusive schools you could never afford to be in. They keep raising their pay all the time, every year, because you have nothing to say about it. They can't be removed, and then when they retire, they get as much money as they were making for the rest of their lives. Wouldn't you like to have something like that, since you're paying for everything? But let's go back to the little darling brats on buses being bussed in from all over Central, South, and Mexico. The problem is, not only are they being bussed in by the thousands, they are now being placed in military bases on our borders, and you, yes, you out there sitting in watching Kim Kardashian's butt land, you are picking up the bill for all of that. You get to pay for that. You get to pay for their food, you get to pay for their housing, and now, that's it, dear leader, is now having immigration attorneys for them paid for by, guess who? You! Of course, you. All the money for all this BS comes from you. And what are you doing? Why, gee, you're trying to work at least 2 jobs, most of you, and some of you even 3. I know, because I deal with this every day in my line of work. I talk to people who can barely pay their electric bill, barely have enough food to eat, and don't eat much of it, and don't eat a lot of it, and don't eat good food either. Happy to get macaroni and cheese and ramen noodles. Well, do you think that's what Congress is eating? No, it isn't. They're eating Kobe steak. Yes, from Japan. They're eating truffles. They're drinking Cristal. They're wearing wonderful designer gowns every time they go. Just look at whatever that is pretending to be our First Lady. Whatever that is. Now back to where we were about how we got stuck with this thing, who's not even eligible and should never have been elected president of the United States and really belongs on a baobab tree somewhere in Africa. We got stuck with this thing because even though he wasn't eligible, even though all the media knew that, they all knew that, even though everyone in your Congress knew that, they chose not to let you know that. All of his records are sealed. Nobody's ever been allowed to see them. I don't believe for 1 minute in time he was ever a professor anywhere. I don't believe he's capable of going through a 4th grade primer. He's no genius. I don't think he can do anything. I think he is the biggest fraud, con, farce that has ever been perpetrated in the world's history. And we are stuck with him. You know why? Because since he's black, but not really, people are afraid to say anything to him. If you say anything to him about his policies, which are destroying the country, if you say anything to him about those, why, you're a racist. You're a racist. Yeah, racist. Because only a person who's thinking understands that the word racist has been evolved to mean you are not allowed to have an opinion other than the one we want you to have. Watch your news every night. Watch all 4 of the predominant stations. You are going to get the very same thing every station. They don't deviate because they want you to be, oh, that's nice. Oh, gee, Obama's over there for D-Day, but they're not going to show you pictures of him chewing the gum. No, they're not. And when they hear about all these children coming to America, these illegal children, they want you to feel sorry for them. They want you to feel how wonderful is dear leader to give them a place to be. I want you to understand the facts of the matter clearly, because you're not going to hear it anywhere else. I can tell you that for sure. Those children aren't by themselves. They didn't make the 1,000-mile trek from Central America and that lower part of Mexico by themselves. These children are 9, 10, 12, 15. They wouldn't know how to begin. Their parents are right behind them because, blah-da, this guy is trying to get as many people into our country as possible to break us. We cannot afford billions of people from around the world. If you don't have borders, you have no country. Do you get that? Are you aware of that? No borders, no country. And if you keep having all of these people come here every day, and we keep having to pay for them, which he's making us do, we don't get a choice about it, and your Congress does nothing, Do you really believe you have a country? I'm here to tell you for the first time, no, you don't. And it is going to get worse if something isn't done. We need draconian measures. We need our own General al-Sisi from Egypt. Where the hell is he when we need him? The people of Egypt would not tolerate Morsi trying to turn them into a Sharia law country. And some of them died, 85 of them to be fair, actually went and rioted in the streets of Egypt and got rid of the man they did not want. Where are we? We are nowhere. We aren't doing anything. We are just going, isn't he cute? Look how far the black person has gotten. He's the first black president of America. God help us and let it be the last. And I am not kidding. Call me anything you want to call me. I revel in it. I stand in it. I'm in front of my flag and I'm thrilled with it. I cannot tell you how happy it makes me. And yes, I stood up out of the camera because I'm so carried away with all this. I can't believe it's going on! And now, go back to something personal. This shows you how far this magnificent country has fallen. And we have fallen. We have fallen. I moved a clock, a grandfather clock, that I had wanted for all my life. It meant something to me. A really beautiful, solid piece of cherry wood that was perfect. And I hired someone to move it for me here in Florida, whom were supposedly people who knew what they were doing. They were Howard Miller representatives on their website, which I'm going to make sure comes off. They were Howard Miller representatives. So when I hired them for $350, which was a lot of money, and I clearly said to one of the principals, I clearly said, why so much? And his answer to me was, because two men have to carry the clock up your steps to your apartment. I live on the second floor. And I said, well, that makes sense. Okay, because I've moved the clock twice before with no problems, because the people wrapped it carefully in protective covering, and count them, two, I can still count to two. After a few years in our public school system, though, you won't be able to count to one. I can still count to two. Two men carried the clock in a horizontal position because it's more than 6 feet long, wrapped beautifully into my abode, and then they set it up upright, and there was never a problem. Now comes Palm Beach Clock Repair and the freaky idiots who said they'll move the clock. Well, I'm waiting for the clock. He texts me a message that says, ETA, isn't he clever? Estimated time of arrival. ETA in 30 minutes. So I'm waiting with bated breath for my clock. And I look out my window and what do I see? Well, not the reindeer and Santa Claus. I see this fruitcake pull up in his green station wagon. A green station wagon, just a station wagon. And I come running down the steps because now I'm already perturbed. Yes. He opens his little door and out he pops all by himself, looking like Fright Night, with his hair standing straight up. He looked like he'd been on a drug binge for 4 days. I go, Jimmy, where's the other person? Answer. He has a weight problem. I said, what are you talking about? He says, he can't carry anything up the steps. I said, excuse me. He should have told me that on the phone when I booked you to come and move my clock. He should have told me then that he couldn't do it. And he should have told me then that it wouldn't be a $350 charge either. And then he says, well, I've been doing this for 20 years. I know what I'm doing. And then, to add insult to injury, I look in the back of this idiot's car, and there is this magnificent, immaculate, perfect, beautiful piece of cherry wood, my clock, all by itself, lying in the back of his station wagon with nothing around it. Nothing! Now I do start foaming at the mouth, and I said, where is the protective covering? Oh, we don't need it. Now comes the coup d'etat. He pulls out of the car a Mectal, M-E-T-A-L, I can spell too, as having not gone through today's public school system, because believe me, after 2 years in today's public school system, you will not be able to read, write, spell, or speak. That's what you'll be saying. Okay. I, able to understand the difference, he pulls my magnificent, perfect clock out of his ridiculous car and sticks it in a metal step truck, which I'd never even heard of and didn't know existed, a step truck. It means you put this beautiful unprotected piece of cherry wood on a metal pusher, and then this travesty from another planet takes my beautiful clock and walks it up 12 steps in his step truck. Jouncing as it went, now I am beside myself. Now I'm yelling at him at the top of my lungs. I am overwhelmed with what he's doing to my magnificent clock. We get to the top, and fruitcake of the year comes through my door with me in front of him saying, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And that's really what was happening. "What are you doing? What are you doing?" He comes through the door of my apartment with the clock upright in his step truck, right into my ceiling fan. Yes, that's what Palm Beach Clock Repair did. The finial on the top of my clock went out, and I went ballistic. Yes, I did. He backed up really quickly. Good for him. He backed up, and he ran back out of the steps, and he ran back down the steps, and he called his boss. I was already on the phone to his boss, and I was screaming at the top of my lungs. I said, "You owe me another clock. And if you're not careful, you're going to owe me a whole lot more." My clock, my beautiful, perfect clock, when he picked it up, now has in excess of 22 nicks and gouges on both sides from that 12 steps up the steps with no protection. And he's telling me that I have to pay him something? Believe me, he's lucky he escaped. I am not paying him anything ever, and he will replace my clock. He will replace my clock. I'm putting this in my show today to show you just how abysmally far we have fallen. This is Palm Beach Clock Repair. They tell people who call them that they know what they're doing. No, they don't. I'm getting ready to go to my first break. When I come back, believe me, it'll get even more interesting. Holly Meredith, bye-bye.
Hello, good morning. I'm Ray Flo. This is my storage, Lake Worth Storage. We've been here, I guess, about 8 years. It's been great. Love Florida. Love the storage business. I was meant for this business. Come with me. We'll go inside. And here is the fantastic staff. Mr. Josh runs it. Hello, Josh.
Hello.
And the quiet one. Look here, Marge. Look this way. Look this way. There you go. All right. So, well, there is a lot to run in storage. There is no silver bullet to make it successful. We've been very successful. So, you got to have a few things. You know, you got to have, of course, the price has got to be right. You got to have a nice staff, congenial people. We have that. Place has to be clean. We have that. And we have to treat people with dignity and very nicely, and we do that. So we've got, you know, the price, the staff. We've been here a long time. We got a good record. Above all, though, it really should be secure. And we have very little problems with that here. We're very secure. We've got 14 cameras there and some more here. So yeah, we're set for the public. We're set up. Excellent.
Hi, I'm Maria of My Clean Home Services. Been in business for 5 years now. I specialize in residential and I also do commercial. If you need any references, I can provide that for you upon request. You can give me a call at 954-520-4282 if you have any questions. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
Hello and welcome back to the Holly Meredith Show. As you can see, I'm modulating my voice a little bit because I can get just a little carried away. That's because I'm carrying the entire nation. All right. today, as well as all the other things I've already discussed, I want to talk about the Belmont Stakes. It was run yesterday, and my heart got ripped out, I will tell you frankly, as well as many other people in the country who were watching an absolutely fantastic horse named California Chrome, who in my heart is a Triple Crown winner today. The reason for that being, this horse raced against 37 other horses to get to the Belmont Stakes and run in it. More than any other horse racing has ever had to do. And he came in fourth in a dead heat with another great horse, Wicked Strong. One of the 3 horses that ran in all 3 legs, and should have been the only 3 horses that were allowed to run in it. The Belmont Stakes is part of what's known as the Triple Crown in racing. It means that within a 5-week period of time, for those of you who don't know, let's educate you. You certainly need a lot of educating. For those of you who don't know, this whole thing is based on producing superior horses, not mediocre horses, like everything in our life is now scheduled to do. All superiority is now being penalized across the board in every way. The ones on the very bottom need to be brought up so everything can be more fair. Screw that. This country is based on, whether you want to admit it or not, is based on the best of the best being the best. The way the Triple Crown was originally formulated 141 years ago, before the big money guys, and we all know who I'm talking about, took over, the way it was originally formulated, the horses ran in all 3 legs, meaning they ran in every race over the 5-week period of time. And the reason sometimes they would come to the Belmont Stakes and there would only be 3 horses left, which means they only had to run against 3 horses in the Belmont Stakes, is because it's a tough thing to do. You try running around a track. You try it. It's hard to do with a jockey. And you try all these other races that you have to do. To get to the Kentucky Derby the way the money men have made it now, and the money men know who I'm talking about, and so do you. The way the money men have made it now, if you want to run in the Kentucky Derby, you have to win X amount of points and or dollars, which means you have to run in at least 4 to 5 tough races in order to qualify to run in the Derby. If you're going to keep that as your reason, then this is how that has to go, whether you like it or not. This is all being done to make everybody spend as much money as possible, and to hell with the horse, when it was the exact opposite when it was first devised. August Belmont and the people who came up with this were in favor of the horses. The horses. Yesterday you had a horse that ran in every race, danced in every dance, and beat everybody. Yesterday he came in fourth in a dead heat with another horse that ran in every leg of the Triple Crown. Those 3 horses, Right On Curlin, Wicked Strong, and California Chrome, should have been the only horses to be allowed to run in the Belmont Stakes. Because the horse that won, Tonalist, didn't run in either of the legs. Nice horse. Nothing wrong with the horse. You can't blame the horse. It is the way it's structured. This horse didn't have to qualify for anything, and yet he can come in at the very end of the entire thing and beat a horse who has won every single race and every leg of the Triple Crown before this one, and walk away with the lion's share of $1.5 million. Wrong, wrong, wrong. The way it was meant to be, the way it started was you didn't have to qualify for the Kentucky Derby. If you felt you had that's again money, if you felt you had a horse that was good enough to run in the Kentucky Derby, why, you entered him. You paid an entrance fee, which was very small those days, but you paid an entrance fee and you ran the horse. You didn't have to have won 6 to 7 other races before you got there. So if you're going to do it the way you're doing it now, then only the horses who qualify to run in the Kentucky Derby should be allowed to run in the Preakness and the Belmont. Because by the time that plays itself out the way it was originally meant to do by the people who came up with the Triple Crown and the people who really loved the horses, by the time it comes to the end of that 5 weeks, the only horses that will be left will be the horse that should win the Triple Crown, because that horse will have run in all 3 legs That horse will have earned it, like California Chrome did, like Wicked Strong did. Both of those horses dead heated, and they should have won. It should have been a dead heat yesterday for Triple Crown champion because both of those horses did it all. Toneless, Commissioner, and Medal Count, who were barely ahead of them by a length and a half, did not. And I will stand by that till my dying day. And people who know the truth are in my agreement. And the people that own California Chrome got just as upset as I am yesterday. And he came out and said it publicly, and that today, you know, with our media all controlled as it is, Jay Privman and Zoe Cadman, don't care what you say, you're wrong. Today they're taking him apart. Why can't he be a good loser? Because he didn't really lose. Because it's structured to cause him to lose. Because it's done now today to make sure that every single person in the country pays as much money as possible to run in every single race they have to run in to get to the Kentucky Derby, and then anybody else can run in the other two races, and that is not the way it was meant to be. And that is not the way it should continue being. And I am not joking around. Anybody out there watching this or listening, call me. Because we have to do whatever is required to get this changed. And I know the owner of California Chrome is on my side. He is on my side. And by the way, the jockey who rode California Chrome yesterday, who gets 10% of the earnings, which is a check for about, let me think here, about $155,000, I wouldn't put his ass back on my horse again for anything. I don't know what he was thinking, smoking, or drinking, but what a terrible race he gave that horse. Terrible! And he's ridden him in the last 6 races, and in every single race he rode him the right way. If I didn't know better, I'd think he threw the race. In every single race, he's done it the right way. That horse does not run well with a lot of other horses in front of him. He's never won from that position. So on the day of one of his biggest races of his life, you put him in a position where he's never won. What? What was that? What was that? Just my remarks and comments. And remember, this is my opinion. If I really knew for a fact, I wouldn't be sitting here opining. I would be doing something about it. But it's my opinion.
Hi, good morning. I'm the owner of Chopstick Chinese Restaurant. My name is Scott Along. I'm serving Mandarin, Sichuan, Cantonese cuisine past 18 years. I'm only the Chinese restaurant who's serving the halal food from South Florida, and then we make fresh cake and everything made from scratch. So cooks in order. So please try us, and we're in downtown, central location, and under the Dark Bay building. As you can see, we have a catering tonight, 100 people. Mostly we do takeout, dining, delivery, and catering too. So we have price ranges start from $6 to in between $12 to $13. Try us. Thank you.
Now to go on to something that's not probably everybody else's bailiwick, but I am going to talk about it anyway. We have elections coming up this year. Not that I think any of them are even remotely not rigged. I think every election in this country is completely 1,000% rigged. And I have thought that for quite some time. This electronic voting is a sham, a charade, should not be permitted. When we used to have paper ballots, no matter how much time it takes, paper ballots are the right way to go, with 3 different people counting them so that you have the ability to know whom voted for whom. When you're on an electronic scanner, that can be changed with a flick of a switch. And that is what happened to us and has been happening to us all over the country. How do you think Al Franken got elected? Nobody with half a brain cell would elect Al Franken to anything. How do you think he got elected? Because they hid the votes. Because days after the election, they found votes in somebody's trunk. But does anybody do anything about it? No, Kim's getting married. We might want to watch Kim get married. No, we don't want to watch Kim do anything. She's not even a real person. She's Plastic Man. What is the problem with you people? This used to be, without a doubt, the finest country in the world ever. The people of this country had pride and self-respect. And I said something on my Facebook page. I said, we had a duty to vote when I was growing up. Everything was closed. There was nowhere else you could go. Stores were closed, schools were closed, businesses were closed. You got off your butt and you went and voted. It was a duty to your country. And I got back all these responses with, Holly, that's such a wonderful thing to hear. What? I'm just going, what? People don't even understand duty. It's beyond their comprehension. And I will say to you this again, and I've been telling you this for a long time. Our country is in duress. We are under assault, not from without, but from within. And you have to do something about, I don't care what you do. I don't care what you do. Lay down in front of their cars when they're coming to vote. Throw tomatoes at them when they start giving a speech. Do whatever it is you have to do to get their attention. And wherever you are out there, America's General Al-Sisi, we're coming for you. Stand up. I don't care what sex you are. You can be a transvestite for all I care. Be what we need when we need it, and we need it now. We need it now. This is Holly Meredith. I'm closing my show. I hope you got a lot out of this because you need to. Please join me on my next show and subscribe to my videos. You get this wonderful diatribe for free. Bye-bye.